Good afternoon, dear students. Well, we can start, it seems. I believe you can hear me. Can you hear me, dear students? Okay, they say that they can hear me. Some of the students have raised their hands. Well, then we can start. Still, some students are joining, that's why we are waiting. Anyway, okay, we'll start. It's 2:05 now. And once again, good afternoon, students. Good afternoon, and welcome to this live session. As you all know, these live sessions are conducted by the Chilau Zonal Office. Well, today my focus is conditional sentences. We hope that you are going to learn this with the hope of improving your knowledge. Therefore, why don't you take a piece of paper or your notebook just to write down some important facts. Okay. Dear students, I'm going to do a small presentation, and with this presentation I hope you will actively participate in my lesson. As I mentioned, students, today the live session is on conditional sentences. Well, just to start off my lesson, I have planned a small warm-up for you. We'll first do the warm-up, then we'll be moving to our main focus, our main lesson, that is conditional sentences. I hope now you are ready. Well, students, let's start our warm-up. Look at the next one. Well, warm-up. Look at my warm-up. You have to select the correct form of the verb. Select the correct form of the verb. It's very important, because if you do have this basic knowledge, this will actually lay foundation for our lesson, which will come next. Well, I will give you 3 minutes. Select the best answer, and then we'll discuss what the answers are. You will have 3 minutes and underline the best answer. I hope you are marking your answers, in the sense you are underlining the correct form. Some have already finished, I know. They have raised their hand. Well, I'll give you some more time. Okay, I hope you have now finished your activity. Let's look at the answers. Let's look at the answers. If you have this knowledge, this will help you to learn our lesson. Look at the first one. We'll see the answer. He usually goes to work by bus. Children, my dear students, do you have any idea why I have select, or why do you select this? Okay, I know most of them have the answer, because this is in the present tense, and you see that the subject is the singular. Subject is in the singular form. Therefore, if it is a present simple sentence, you need to select the present simple verb, singular verb. That's why you have selected goes. So with the singular subject, singular verb, present tense. Remember these things. These things are very important. I believe you understand me. Right. Then look at the second one. What is the answer? Can you guess? Can anybody tell me the answer? Well, let's look at the answer. They swim in the sea at weekends. Once again, this is in the present tense. And look at the subject there, dear student. The subject is the plural one. Therefore, you need to select a plural verb. So, the first and the second sentences are in the present tense, as well as you have selected the present simple verbs. The first one is singular, the other one is plural. Well, shall we move on to the next one? Look at the third one. My friend bought a laptop last week. It is in the past tense. Definitely you understand why did I select past tense, my dear students? Because the last week is there. Last week is there. Then we'll be moving on to the fourth one. Look at the next one. She will. That is future simple. When you have will, after that you will have to select what? You will have to select a verb which is in the base form. She will make a cake for my birthday. Future simple. We have to understand this. You have to have this basic knowledge to go to my lesson. That's why I have included this warmer in my at the initial stage. Okay, let's look at the fifth one. They have. I believe most of you have guessed this answer. They have sung a song. Have, perfect tense. With the perfect tense, you have to select a third category verb which is in the third form. We call it past participle. Look at the verbs we have selected. This knowledge, as I mentioned, students, බලන්න මේ ක්‍රියාපද දිහා අපි තෝරගත්ත. Goes, swim, then with the past tense verb, with the future, will make, with the perfect tense, have plus past participle. This knowledge will be important. We are going to our lesson, conditional sentences. Dear students, first we look at the competency and competency level which is related to these conditional clauses. This will be also very important for you because you start conditional clauses in grade 9 and then grade 10 and also in grade 11 also you have to learn this. Look at the competency and competency level. Competency 6. Just read it. What you have to do it. What you have to learn, of course. Then look at competency level there. That is our main focus. use conditional clauses appropriately. මේක තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ by the end of this lesson. By the end of this lessons ළමයි ඔයගලන්ට මෙන්න මේ දැනුම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. You have to have this knowledge. Well, then let's move on to our big picture lesson. Conditional clauses. Right, dear students. Conditional sentences. Look at my screen. Conditional sentences have two parts. Conditional sentences are, as you know, කොටස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. The first one is if clause and the second one is main clause. So you combine, you connect, you join these two sentences and make one single sentence. That is called the conditional clause or the conditional sentence. Why do we want conditional? ඇයි අපිට conditional clauses ඕනේ? Condition එකක් තියෙනවා. Then once the condition is fulfilled, you have the result. Let's look at an example of a conditional sentence. You know this. Let's see. අපි බලමු example එක. If you work hard. There you have the if clause. The main clause starts with our country. Our country will progress. ඔබ වැඩ කළොත් මහන්සි වෙලා මොකද වෙන්නේ? රට දියුණු වේවි. So this is the condition. This is the result. So as I mentioned you earlier, you have two parts in a conditional sentence. First one is the if clause. The second one is the main clause. I believe it's clear to you all. Isn't it, my dear children? Okay, well, I believe you understand this. Let's look at once again the main components or how the if clause and the main clause are made of. We'll see. Look at the first one. If we call it a conditional clause or the if clause, it's a subordinate clause. මේකට කියනවා අන්තර්වාක්‍යයක්. So it gives you the condition. making ඔබට ලබා දෙන්නේ ළමයිනේ condition එක. It gives you a condition. Let's look at the second one. Our country will. That is the main clause. So as I told you, you have two clauses. If clause එකක් තියෙනවා, main clause එකක් තියෙනවා, condition එකක් දෙන්නේ if clause එකකින්, result එකක් දෙනවා main clause එකකින්. Okay, let's look at another example. Next thing. So if you start with the if clause, if you start with the conditional clause, if you have to have a comma in between the main clause and the if clause. Look at, read this. When the if clause comes first, you should use a comma. This is very important. Make a note on this. I hope, dear students, you are taking some screenshots as well. So why don't you take some screenshots and keep them so for your future reference, as well as jot down some notes that which will be important, because this will help you to construct some meaningful sentences. You have to give a condition and then you have to talk about a result when the condition is fulfilled. අපි බලමු එහෙනම් කමාවක් ඕනේ. Then let's look at the next point. The main clause can come before the if clause. So if you have the main clause, it can come before the if clause. Well, with this basic knowledge, we are going to learn further about conditional clauses. I hope you understood this. If clause basically consists of two clauses, if clause and the main clause, and I introduced the if clause, I introduced the main clause, then I told about you about the comma, and even I told you if clause conditional clauses can begin with the main clause. Well, dear student, shall we move on to the next one? Okay, this is very interesting for you. In grade 9, you learn two kinds of conditional sentences. When you come to grade 10 only, you are learning the third one. So I have included the first one as well as the second one and the third one as well. Okay, Conditional sentences have three types. First one we call type 1. Look at the second one. We call it type 2. Third one, type 3. I believe you will be making some notes or taking some notes. If you do, yes, I'll give you some time as well. Okay, dear students, do you have enough time? Well, okay, some have raised their hands. That means you have finished your writing the notes. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, dear students, we are going to talk about the type 1. Look at the type 1. So let me first explain what type 1 is all about. Usually we call type 1 conditional sentences, we call them probable or often conditions. Probable, let me explain further. Type 1 or type probable නැත්නම් open conditions කියන ළමයි. අපි තව ටිකක් බලමු. We'll discuss it further. Type 1 conditional sentences are used to refer to actions that are likely to happen. කොයි වගේ actions we are going to talk? Likely to happen. විය හැකි දේවල්. So within brackets also I have explained it further. So to talk about realistic situations, realistic, remember this dear students, if you are going to talk about realistic, that can happen, likely to happen actually, we call them type 1 conditional clauses. Look at the example I have given you. Look at the example. Mandun example look at that. So there, if we play well, there you have a condition. If we play well, I believe you understand this. We will win the match. Okay, if you play well, definitely you will win the match. So this is a type 1 conditional clause or a conditional sentence. Very easy. Let's look at once again, my dear students, the form of the type 1 conditional sentence. Form is the structure. The components, we are going to learn the main components. අපි ඉගෙන ගමු ළමයි දැන් මේ conditional clause type 1 එකක් හැදෙන විදිය. We call it a form. Look at the form. Form. Look at the if clause. How does it consist? What does it consist actually? Look at the above example as well. Right. If clause is there, if the word if is there, then the subject comes, then the present simple verb comes. I told you about the present simple verb when I did my warmer. අපි warmer එකේ කතා කරා present simple verb එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා, which has a singular as well as a plural form. එහෙනම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා if clause එකේ form එක ලියා ගන්න. You can write this please. Or you can have some screenshots as well. I hope you have finished by now. Dear students, let's look at the components or the contents of the main clause. Okay, well, look at the main components of the main clause. Then අපි main clause එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? Look at the above example once again. You have a subject in the main clause. Then you have a verb, will or can. Either will or you can use can, plus the verb which is called an infinitive. Infinitive is a verb which is in the base form. Well, with this knowledge, we'll look at another example. You can write down the main clause, the components of the main clause also. Look at the second example as well. If it rains, they will call off the match. If it rains, they will call off the match. So the condition is there. So what will they do? They will cancel the match. Okay. This is the type 1 conditional clause. Let's look at once again the main idea of this one. You use conditional sentences type 1 to talk about actions that are likely to happen. Look at my first example. It can happen if the condition is fulfilled. Look at the components, if clause. Look at the structure, look at the form, look at the main clause. Balana structure ka diya. Then look at my example. This knowledge is very important for you because when you construct sentences, you will have to adhere to this construction. You have to adhere to this form. Alright, well, with this knowledge, I believe you wrote the notes on this, at least the form, at least one example, not the note. Type 1, example, plus write the structure, very important for you. Then we will be moving on to a small activity, my dear students, small one. I have designed a small one since most of them are actually they are learning maybe the first time. Therefore, I have decided to give you a very basic activity. Let's see. Look at the next one. Now, like I have a table in which you have two parts like A and B. You have to match the clauses and form meaningful sentences. You have the if clause first, and then in the second column you have the main clause. So my dear students, please join and make meaningful sentences. Remember, this is type 1 conditional clauses. Okay, well, I will give you 5 minutes. Is it okay for you? Right, well, start. I believe all of you are doing this activity. Once you finish, dear students, please drop me a message or leave me a message. Okay, I see some students have raised their hands, still some are doing very good. Let me remind one thing. Actually, the zonal education office has planned to do sessions like this to help you during this pandemic. So take the maximum benefits out of these sessions. Okay, dear students, I hope by now you have finished the activity. Let's discuss the answers. Okay, most of them it seems have finished the activity. Let's look at the first one. Okay, we'll discuss the first one. If I visit Trincomalee, there it talks about the condition. Now you have to select or choose the result. What will happen if you look at the verb, present simple verb? It's very important when you write a conditional clause type 1. Look at the answer, students. Very simple. I will bathe at the hot water springs. So once you go there, you can. These are actions, of course, which can happen, which are likely to happen. Remember, type 1 is used to talk about actions which are likely to happen. When the පුළුවන් දේවල් ගැන කතා කරන එක. Let's look at the numbers. Second one. Did you mark that? Did you find the answer? Well, I believe most of you did. Well, look at the one. If our team wins the match, what will happen? What will happen to them? If our team wins the match, they will be the champions. Look at the verbs in the if clause plus then the main clause. Right, next one. If Ruani comes to school today, what will happen? If Ruani comes to school, yes, can you tell me the answer, dear students? Okay, well, you must have guessed this answer. The teacher will give her a role in the play. Role like a character, a role in the play. Next one, let's look at the next one. If Kamal catches the 6 o'clock train, what is the result? He will reach Candy early. This is the answer. Last one. If you need money, I will give you a loan. So if you need money, I will give you. These are I think my activity is very simple. You understood the conditional type 1. Having understood this knowledge, we can move on to the next one. That is the second one. Type 2. Okay, dear students, now we are going to talk about the conditional clauses. Okay, we'll see. Okay, type 2. So when you talked about conditional clauses type 2, we have to talk about this improbable or imaginary condition. We call it improbable or imaginary condition. What is imaginary? Upakalpane karala. When we talked about these imaginary situations, imaginary things, you will have to use it. Look at the, dear students, look at the explanation or description I have given. Look at the description I have given. Well, type 2 conditional sentences are used to refer to actions that are unlikely to happen. This is very important, dear students. Earlier in the first type 1, we talked about the actions that are likely to happen. Here, of course, you talked about the actions that are unlikely to happen. It's in the situations. Okay, we'll see. I'm going to give you a very small example. Look at the example I have provided. If I won a lottery, I would go round the world. So you imagine and you talk about something. Where to not? Adu not lotaraya. I would go around the world. So you imagine and you talk. To talk about your imaginations, your imaginary situations, you will have to use the second form, second type. Right. This has a future reference. This is very important, dear students. Future reference I have given this. Why? Remember, although the word is in the past tense, past tense, dear students. But it does not have anything to do with the past tense. So remember, nothing to do with past tense. You have to, here you have the future reference. Look at the second one, dear students. If I knew his phone number, if I knew his phone number, I could give him a call. I could give him a call. Look at once again the verb in the past tense, but once again, as I told you, this has a present reference. So don't misunderstand. Although the verbs are in the past tense, it did not tell something about the past tense. Past tense ගැන නෙමෙයි කතා කරන්නේ. We are talking about imaginary situation. Okay, dear students, now we are going to learn about the form or the structure of the type 2 conditional sentence. Let's look at the form. Form, that's the structure, how the sentence is made. Look at the if clause. Well, the main components of the if clause is this. Look and read it with me. If, subject, the past participle verb, past simple verb. So please do take a screenshot, or will you please write it down, at least type 2, then one example. And the form plays a very important role when it comes to construct sentences. වාක්‍ය හදද්දී very important. Look at the main clause once again. Main clause, it has a subject. Just look at the above two examples and then you will understand it very clearly. Subject and could or would plus a verb which is in the infinitive form, which is an infinitive. Well, did you write it down, students? Have I given you enough time? Okay, do write. Now look at the last example, which is different from the above two examples. ඉස්සල්ලා වාක්‍යයට වඩා පොඩි වෙනසක් තියෙන වාක්‍යයක් තමයි තුන්වෙනි example එක ගත්ත බලන්න. Look at it seems to be bit strange to you, since look at the example, last one, very important once again. If I were a bird, usually you can have was, because I is a singular subject, but we can use either a singular subject or a plural verb, singular verb or a plural verb with this type 2 conditional sentences. If I were a bird, කුරුල්ලෙක් වුණා නම්. So you talk about an imaginary situation. What would you do? I would fly around the world. Look at once again, you have a past simple verb, then would plus an infinitive. If I were, this is of course different. Here you have a singular subject I, but you can use a singular verb as well as a plural verb. Plural verb is also correct. If I were the first president of this country, so what would you do? Like this, you can talk about them imaginary situations. Well, I hope you understood my lesson. We can once again look at the type 2. Type 2 talks about the situations that are unlikely to happen, imaginary situations. Then I have given you 2 examples, dear students. Then look at the form. Look at the form. Then I have given you another example. Okay, having understood the second one, we will go to a small activity once again. Okay, Look at the activity. I have once again decided. It's once again a matching one. You have to match this. Choose the correct rest of the part, of course. Match the clauses and form meaningful sentences. So please do this. I'll give you 5 minutes. I believe you are doing the activity. So I told you this is really important for you. So don't take the maximum benefit out of this time and do the activity. I believe you are still doing it. I'll give you 2 minutes more. You have 2 minutes more. Okay, shall we discuss the answers? Dear students, shall we discuss the answers? Is it okay for you? Well, most of them have finished by now. They say they have sent me messages as well. We'll see. Okay, dear students, shall we look at the answers? Okay. Look at the answer 1. Answer 1. Did you get the same answer? If you drop the bulb, it would break. If you drop the bulb, it would break. So I'll give you some time, some reasonable time for you to write the answer. Yes, some have sent me a message that saying that their answer is correct. Well done my dear students. Let's look at the second one. I believe you have the same answer. Okay, if I knew French, I could work in France. It is quite clear. So yeah, someone has sent me a message saying that her answer is correct. Well done, congratulations. If I knew French, I could work in France. Look at it's very important when you form these sentences. When you write these sentences, I didn't give you to write the sentences independently. This is a big task. Basically, you will have to have a good platform, good foundation to write sentences. So, I'm trying today to make you aware of the structure, how to write sentences. Later on, you will have to write your own sentences independently. උගන්න තනියම වාක්‍ය ලියන්න දවසක් ඕනේ. එදාට මේ structure එක වැදගත්. Look at the structure. Past simple verb, then could plus infinitive. I believe third one. You got the same answer? Correct? Is this your answer correct? Is this answer correct? Yeah. Okay, well done. If I had a ship, what would I do? I would sail round the world. So if you had a ship, you would talk like this. I know, my dear students, at school, maybe with your friends, මෙහෙම තිබුණා නම් මම මෙහෙම කරනවා. You will definitely talk thousands of things you will talk, but need to know the now structure. You have to use this structure. මෙන්න මේ වාක්‍ය රටාව තමයි ලියන්න වෙන්නේ. කියන්න වෙන්නේ. Okay, this is spoken as well as written. Well, fourth one. If my uncle had a motorbike, what would he do? He would take me for a ride. He will give me a ride. He will give me a ride. Right, last one. If he worked hard, what would be the result? He could earn more money. So I hope, yeah, you have got the correct answers. Or most of the students might have got the correct answer. Okay, having now understood two types of conditional clauses, we will be moving on to the third one. Third one is not that difficult. Of course, you are learning this in grade 10. These things you have learned when you are in grade 9. This is the new thing, of course, you are learning in grade 10. Let's see. Type 3. Type 3. Type 3. So in the type 3 conditional clauses, you talk about impossible things. When we are not impossible conditions. Look at the clarification or the examples I have given. The example, the definition I have given. The condition cannot be fulfilled. Remember, the condition because the action in the conditional clause did not take place. It did not take place. I will explain it further when you see the example, my example. Just read the example. This will give you a clear idea. Look at the example, dear students. If he had told me the truth, I would have helped him. So there, what is the implied meaning? He did not tell me the truth. Truth and I did not help him either. So these conditions, as I mentioned earlier, to talk about such situations, such actions, you will have to use type 3 conditional sentences. Well, my dear students, let's look at the second example. If she had passed the exam, did she pass the exam? No. Once again, she can't do it again. If she had passed the exam, she could have got a better job. Did she get a good job? No. So you didn't fulfill the condition there. Condition was not fulfilled. Therefore, the result is not coming your way. If she had passed the exam, she could have got the better job. Right. With this small knowledge, so type 3, look at the two examples I have given, and I have given a small definition to that one as well. So I believe you have to write down at least one or two examples. Then our main focus of this type 3 is the form. This form is very important. As I mentioned you earlier as well. Structure or the form will play a very important role when you speak, when you talk using these conditional clauses. Well, dear students, We look at the answers. Form. Form. Look at the form. Look at the components of the if clause. Components. Look at the components of the if clause. If plus subject. Look at the above examples. Then that will give you a clear picture too. If subject එකක් තියෙනවා he and then had plus past participle. Past participle is the third form of a verb. We usually call it past participle. Third category. So when you combine these two things, had and past participle, this is once again you call it perfect tense, past perfect tense. Then you have if, you have a subject, you have a past perfect verb. Had plus third form of the verb. Look at told. Right. Next, look at the main form. Main clause. Main clause. There you have the subject. Look at the subject. She or I. Then could or would. Plus have once again a past participle. Once again a past participle. So I believe you have to write it down. The structure and two examples. You need not to write the note on this. Basically write type 3, then impossible condition. Then you will have to write the examples and the structure of the conditional clause. Structure. Yes, my dear students, once again it seems you have finished since you have raised your hands, most of them, and send me some messages as well. Well, let's move on to the last activity. Let's move on to the last activity. Okay. Now look at once again type 3 and the form and the if clause, the components and the main clause. Okay, this is the last activity. Activity 3. This is a mixture of all the three conditional clauses I have taught you. You should be very careful, since you have to understand whether it is the type 1, type 2 or type 3. These verbs, these structures would help you to understand it. Then you will have to fill in the blanks. In the sense, fill in the blank means use the correct form of the verb. Use the correct form of the verb. You will be given 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, please do write this. I'm starting to discuss this. Writing this, once again I stress the fact that you need to pay your attention to the structure or the verb form. The verb form will tell you which category or to which category actually it belongs to. Some have already finished, but I will give you another 2-3 minutes. Yeah, some are still doing, some have finished. At the same time, you can have a screenshot as well and write only the answer. That would do, and later on you can write the activity. Okay, it seems most or many have finished. Yeah, Sanduni has sent me saying that she has finished. Okay, dear students, I'm really happy that you are really engaging in the activities very actively. Okay, well, we'll discuss the answers. I told you this is the last one. Now you have a good picture of type 1, type 2 and type 3 conditional sentences. Now with that knowledge, we are moving on to, we are going to discuss the answers of this activity. Okay, let's look at the answer. I hope you have decided the same answer with me. You have decided the same answer with me. Right, you have got the same answer. Okay, the first one. If I were a millionaire. So look at the verb past simple. So this belongs to type 2. Since the if clause is in the past tense, then definitely the verb should be would or could. I would help poor. It should be the poor. If I were a millionaire, I would help the poor. I would help the poor. So if I were a millionaire, so you talk about an imaginary situation. You talk about an improbable situation, as I mentioned in the second type 2 වල මම කතා කරපු විදිහට මේ තියෙන improbable imaginary situation එක. How did you identify? මෙන්න මේ verb එක නිසා you identified this. And then definitely you will have to use would or could. And help also should be there. Help. I have not put help. Help should be also there. In this, I would help. I have not included. I'm sorry. It should be help. Would help. Number 2. Look at the second one. So it seems it is in the third form. Type 3. Type 3. If I had met him. If I had met him. Look at the verb form. Past perfect. If I had met him. Did I meet him actually? No, I did not. So I would have spoken to him. If I had met him, I would have spoken to him. I believe you are right in this. Third one. If he works hard, he will get a good promotion. This is type 1 conditional clause. Look at the verb there. Present simple verb in the if clause. If he works hard, he will get a promotion. So if you work hard, what will happen? He will get a promotion. So I believe now you have got almost all the answers correct. Since you are learning this. You are learning this step by step. Like type 1, then we came to type 2, then we came to type 3. Yes, I believe, yes, your answers are correct. Most of them have just dropped me messages saying their answers are correct. Well done, students. If the teacher did not come, once again you are talking about an imaginary situation. If the teacher did not come, what will happen? What could we can do? We could play. Answer is we could play. So this is, look at my dear student, this activity is bit difficult. Earlier we did 2 activities which are not that difficult because I just gave you to choose the correct part, rest of the sentence, like it is going to be, it was actually, or that activities were very simple for you, whereas the constructing or putting the right form of the verb might be a bit difficult. Next step is constructing your own sentences. That might be once again a bigger challenge for you. So learn to write your own sentences. That will be very important for you. So step by step you have to do this, constructing your own sentences. Thereby, you need to learn the structures of these three types. Okay, dear students, we are going to the third one. If they like the house, they will buy it. So if they like it, they will buy it. So those are the answers. Okay, my dear students, I'm going to summarize the lesson I have so far done. We talked about the conditional sentences. I told you that conditional sentences have two parts, conditional clause and the main clause. Then we talk about the condition and the result as well. Then I discussed there are three types of conditional clauses. Then we learned each with the structure, with the form, and we did three activities. I hope do send us comments, because as I mentioned earlier, we are conducting these sessions just to help our students, in the whole zone, chill out zone. We know most of the students are actually they are participating in our sessions. Do pass this message. We are having sessions every day from grade 2 to grade 11. Pass this message to your students, your students as well as your friends, and do join with us. We are trying to help you, so we are lending our helping hand to you. So do pass this message and take the benefits out of our effort. So this little effort will go a long way, we believe, my dear students. So during this time, we are ready to help you in our every possible way. So we'll be having more session in future. Do join us and take some advantages. Wishing this, I hope you understand this lesson. Do send us comments. And your comments are very valuable for our improvements, our developments, our further designs. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap up our session. Thank you very much for joining our session, and wish you a very happy weekend, and stay at home. Take care. On behalf of the English Unit Zonal Education Office, I'm saying goodbye to you all. Thank you very much.